Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today I'm going to show you a little bit about the current economic landscape. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the mistakes that current economists are making when they consider it. Coming right up. Okay, so let's just jump right in and we will get through what we're talking about here, and you're going to see some of this information. So it really will help you out, I think, in a lot of ways. This is actually taken by a friend of mine named Katie. And without trying to get her in trouble here, because there was a PowerPoint presentation. I didn't take everything in the PowerPoint presentation, and they're probably not presenting it the way that I would present this, but this is really good information. So I did check it over to make sure it made sense. Okay. So let's go over this kind of thing. This is related to the the trucking business, which affects everyone. Most people don't get it. When you live on the coasts, the liberal ones that live, the freakies that live on the coast, or the east or west coast, they just think that the middle of the country doesn't need to be talked to. And the reality is, we're so important to everyone else that it would shut the complete country down. And this is the economic trend. Now, there's a situation called cargo theft. Now, it was highlighted by there's so many videos about this, but one powerful video, I don't have it off the top of my head, but basically this Amazon truck driver, he pulls over to the side of the road, and it's like he's checking on his information. Now, because I have Amazon and I have UPS and I have FedEx and just like all of USPS coming in the door. Well, we actually put waters in our back kitchen for them, and some other drinks. And Christmas time we actually put some kind of goodies, and because we want to take care of our drivers, because they never get any real props, let's put it that way. And so always want to take care of them and just do good things for them. And so I see them every day, so I can hear some of the kind of rumblings that go on here. So that's why I really am powerful with this. So the drivers like pull over the side of the road. It's in California, and there's a big far off camera, and the guy gets absolutely taken over by 30, 40 people. They rip everything out of the van. He's just like, and I didn't see what happened to him, but it's that kind of stuff that is occurring to people. So when you look at this, 2021, we're talking about cargo theft in 21, 1600, 1800, whoa, 2800. Over the quarters, it's a steady increase of these quarters. That is absolutely fascinating. Tells you that there's something messed up in our world with that. Sorry, I'm going to do my glasses here. This is just showing you like a heat map of different areas that they're seeing some of the worst amounts of crime issues, right? So obviously you're going to see LA, you're going to see New York. No wonder that New York, New Jersey areas are going, hey, we're not going there anymore. But you're also seeing Dallas, you're going to see it Austin, Houston kind of areas. We're seeing it in like the Chicago area, some of the bigger cities. But interesting here and in Atlanta, you're going to see some of the big cities too that are having this stuff. Okay, Denver's got some of it as well. But what's more interesting is what they're stealing. So there's obviously a target here, okay? I just want you to focus on the right-hand side of the screen here. So firstly, you're going to see things like over the years, there's been a small increase in personal beauty care, pharmacy. Okay, well, that's going to be bigger, okay? Metals, quite a bit bigger, but building materials, almost nothing. But look at this. Apparel, huge. We'll skip over the other. Commercial, industrial, huge increase. Vehicles, a pretty significant increase. Electronics, not much. See, that's the one I would have expected. If you were asking me what would actually go up, it'd be that one, electronics. But that's not what people are looking for. Look at the increase with household and food and beverage. I mean, that's the cheapest items out there, right? As the food and beverages, if you're thinking about the cost. So this is not, I mean, you would, if you saw this, you've got a crime wave based upon you're letting it go rampant, which they are, don't get me wrong. But look at it as based upon needs. So food and beverage, massive jump. Household items, massive jump. Commercial, massive jump. And even apparel is actually seeing almost a doubling effect. Tells you that the issues of the inflation are way bigger than people want to talk about. So you can't trust anyone in the government on this issues. There's a friend of mine named Dave with News Treason. You can go check him out on Rumble. Just look up Treason, News Treason, and Dave has great information about inflation issues with that too. Okay. The real gross domestic product is fascinatingly, been spiking up here in 2023, but it actually has been going below normal in overall basis. So we're talking about there's a lot more money being spent, but you're going to find out it's not exactly what you think it is. Okay. So we're going to kind of go from experiences versus goods. So when you have an increase of experiences that people spend for, that'd be like vacations, air travel, those kinds of issues, right? Or entertainment kind of things, right? So when you look at these in 2024, we're just going, and these are expectations that they think are happening. I would say that they're way overestimating this number here. Okay. But what people had to do, they outspent for experiences. That's where these sicko corporations are way overcharging for this stuff. But goods are rising as well. But the amount of money that is being spent here is telling you that people are trying to get away, but they're actually going farther and farther in debt. So it's a really interesting response. Now, it's possible that they could be wrong here and people will spend less and less on experiences. And that does happen, but I would say these blue numbers, if we continued in the direction, should actually be way higher in those realms. Consumers have $1.1 trillion in just debt issues. Now, it spikes here in 2020. It goes down a little bit and then moves up. But if you look over here, we had massive overspending around right after the time frame of the Great Recession. We were deep in the Great Recession in 2011. I mean, deep in it. But they stayed about the same. But look at the change here, and then look how much it's going here. It's top heavy. That's why everyone's struggling. A conventional 30-year fixed mortgage. Now, you're going to see the spike over here, and we're talking about mortgage rate. So we're just talking about interest percentage, okay? So you see, my parents bought a house, one of their first houses, I don't remember fully first house, in 72. So that would be right over here, but it was probably, 8%. But remember, when they bought it for $49,000. Now they put so much effort and expense. They've sold it in 1994, 1995, something like that, before I moved back to Denver. And they sold it for $700,000, because they had put so much extra stuff in here, right? Just massive increase with that too. Now, you see this percentage. This is when the Fed was raising up the conventional, the fixed rates. So you saw this fixed rates, but they're raising the rates. Now they started to drop it as Reaganomics took hold, and we see that drop all the way through, even through Clinton era, even into the mortgage rates for Bush era, into Obama, all the way through. Mortgage rates go to the lowest level in through Trump. So you see just massive reduction. But ever since then, it spikes back up 6 and 7%. And you go, well, yeah, but that's not a big deal. But prices are like flipped on their ear. So you cannot put the same thing where you could buy a house for, let's say, $100,000 here at 18%. Now the average house is for $500,000 for 7%. That's out of whack. That is way out of whack with that, which tells us this other kind of thing of the purchasing power. So these are managers. So we're talking about medium to big size companies. And so what happens here is that you see a lot of purchasing ability here. And so, but it starts to tail off. It hits over here, but these are some of the PPP loans. So spikes, comes down a little bit and starts going off a cliff through 2022. This is what I obviously thought NESARA might happen here, but what I didn't realize is that inflation had to take hold, and it was the slow death of the sickos, of the elites. But look at this. When we get over to 2023, it's a negative number. Now, companies are not spending. They're pulling back. That is horrible for an economy. The Fed's interest rates are fascinating. 4% here in the 60s, early 60s, drops down. Again, 6%, 8% here in the 70s. They started to tank it a little bit when it started to get a little bit better. And this is all a spike related to going off the pure gold standard. This is when Volcker takes over in the 70s and he spikes it up. It goes down a bit, and then it spikes heavily when Volcker really goes after this. And this is the Fed chairman at the time. And so it goes down and it stays really tanked low, but you're seeing an ugly spike here with inflation. So inflation deleted the oil in around 97. So you start seeing the effect. So it really doesn't show up perfectly here, but they messed with inflation quite a bit. And so we really are way higher than this. If you added what oil cost, inflation is probably at least 16 to 20%. The inflation calculator tells us the same story. So inflation on items or core things. So we've seen it be very steady, low for the most part. And then Idiot Joe shows up. And what happens here is that they see a massive spike. Now they show a tailing. That is not true. This is lie. And that's why I'm trying to tell you there's more lie in here than you can possibly imagine, because we know that they're manipulating and we're not feeling it. We're feeling worse. See, this is all when they try to go through campaigns and try to mess with things. Consumer price indexed. So we see it in the 50s. There's a massive spike in year-to-year percentage change. So pricing goes up, and this is in a boom time, kind of comes down, goes up, goes down. And so we're seeing that kind of thing. But prices actually spike when inflation spikes as well. But again, percentage-wise. And then you see a percentage up here. Now, this is really a stupid statement. It is not going in this kind of way. This is a lie. That's what I'm trying to tell you. This is all lies. And they're trying to stay closer to normal. That is not true at all. Okay? All right. I want to show you a very powerful kind of thing. In 1980, you have a dollar. And in 2023, the end of 2023, it is $3.94 for that same dollar, which is a 294% increase in inflation. Let's just do it from 2001 to here. we're seeing a 75% inflation. This is when Bush was starting to blow up America in many ways. Now, when we come over here and just to Joe Biden, over Joe Biden's time frame, actual inflation is 17%. This is the real number when you look at stuff. It's really 17% ever since Joe Biden puts in. Now, it's obviously been going up dramatically over the years, but we're seeing a real heavy spike in a very short time frame. This is a real interesting statement. Mike Christo was talking about this is a few weeks ago here. But if the debt obligation was not worthwhile, then paper value of that debt is worthless. Think about that for a second. If the debt obligation is not worthwhile, then paper value is nothing, right? The debt is nothing. But this is the state of the US dollar. If oil is no longer traded in dollars, which is exactly what BRICS is talking about, why pay the debt obligation? That's why gold prices are rising. And now they're actually worth up to $2,400, right? And US bonds are absolutely, utterly worthless. But guess what? Zimbabwe moved into its new currency. And if you think that I was lying about NESARA, this proves that it's not. This is a gold-backed currency. When the notes in the past were $1 trillion notes, I mean, 100 billion, $1 trillion notes, I mean, and you can get them in quadrillions. I mean, you can get 10, 100 T notes for, which makes a quadrillion dollars. And that costs like, 3 or 4,000 for that. And you're going away 3 or 4,000 American dollars to get a quadrillion dollars of a note. And now they're going into this kind of, 10, 20, 50, 100. And they were changing now, which is the increase in value based upon a gold-backed currency. They're already doing it, guys. So let me kind of come over here and pull it off here. So we're not doing a long one here. I didn't want to, keep you for a long time, but I wanted you to see that the systems are changing. They're dying every time you turn around. It's dying worse and worse. But that's actually a good thing, because what we do is we flip from dollars to US notes. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. I heard many economists, including some of you who know me and have actually talked to me, and you've said in Q1, which would be from January through March, in Q1, the interest rates will reduce because the Fed will reduce it and we'll be back in a better shape. And the answer is, And even Jerome Powell said, we're not changing rates. And we're talking right now, it's April 20th, and they're not even talking about changing rates. It's only going to go higher until we have a tipping point. And I think we're there. So you guys are going to see some really cool things happening. That proves NESARA 100%. Hope that helps you guys. Check it out. There's some good stuff on drscottyoung.com. Thanks.